Why is it that the woman who doesn't chase, who doesn't bend, who doesn't need, ends up being the one he can't stop thinking about? She's not cold, she's not rude, she's not playing games, but there's something about her presence, something ungraspable, that keeps him coming back, even when she says nothing at all. This isn't about manipulation, this is about magnetism. In today's video, we're breaking down a reality that most relationship advice gets completely wrong. Men don't fall hardest for the women who try the most. They fall hardest for the women they can't control. Because control kills mystery. Control kills respect. And what men truly crave, whether they admit it or not, is the freedom to earn a woman who doesn't hand herself over too easily. We're going to uncover the deeper psychological triggers behind this dynamic, why emotional independence, self-respect, and feminine restraint create a kind of gravity that no man can resist. If you've ever been told to just be nice, give more, don't play hard to get, this video might challenge everything you've believed about love and attraction. But once you see what's really happening beneath the surface, you won't just understand why men fall hardest for these women. You'll understand how to become one without losing your softness, your heart, or your feminine essence. So if you're ready to stop shrinking to fit inside someone else's expectations and start standing in your full, undeniable power, you're exactly where you need to be. There's a truth about men that rarely gets said out loud. The chase isn't a game to them. It's built into their biology. From an evolutionary standpoint, men were wired to pursue, whether it was hunting for food or competing for status. The act of earning something, especially when it's scarce, is deeply rewarding to the male brain. And that doesn't change in modern relationships. When a man senses that a woman is fully available from the start, constantly proving her interest, always initiating, always accommodating, his brain registers it as, I didn't have to work for this, and what comes easily often gets taken for granted. Now let's be clear, craving the chase doesn't mean men want to be ignored, manipulated, or disrespected. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about being hard to forget, and that difference matters. What men are really drawn to is uncertainty with warmth. When a woman is kind but grounded, available but not desperate, emotionally open but not reliant on him for her worth, that's when something primal kicks in. He feels challenged. He feels motivated. He starts to ask himself, who is she? Why can't I get her off my mind? This doesn't just activate attraction, it awakens pursuit. And pursuit is powerful because it requires investment. And what we invest in, we value. That's why so many men fall hardest for women they couldn't immediately figure out or easily access. It's not about ego, it's about depth. Men chase what makes them feel alive, what stirs curiosity, what doesn't collapse under pressure or morph to please. So when a woman holds her ground, keeps her identity, and allows space instead of rushing intimacy, she becomes more than just another person he's dating. She becomes a mystery to unfold, not a problem to solve. And that's the difference between attention and devotion. Let's talk about a painful reality that so many women experience but rarely understand until it's too late. Being the nice woman often leads to being overlooked, undervalued, or taken for granted. Now let's be clear, kindness is not the problem. Being loving, generous, thoughtful, those are incredible qualities. But the issue begins when nice turns into self-abandonment. When being agreeable, accommodating, and endlessly available becomes your entire identity in the relationship. You stop being seen as a person with depth and start being treated like a comfort blanket, there when needed, easily tossed aside when not. Men don't fall in love with someone who does everything for them. They fall in love with someone who has a life, an edge, a voice. Someone who can say no and mean it. Someone who doesn't compromise her dignity just to keep the peace. The nice woman often gives too much, too fast. She overextends, thinking if she just loves harder, shows how loyal and devoted she is, then he'll finally see her worth and commit. But here's the problem. When you give everything without requiring anything, it creates imbalance. And what's easy to access eventually loses its value. This doesn't mean men are cruel or malicious. In many cases, it's unconscious. When someone is always available, always saying yes, never challenging or asserting themselves, it creates emotional predictability. And predictability, while safe, isn't what stirs deep desire. It's not that men don't want a kind woman, they do. But they also want someone who values herself enough to not shrink for their comfort. They want kindness with boundaries, warmth with strength, love with standards. Think about it. How many times have you watched a man chase the woman who doesn't try nearly as hard? The one who doesn't over-explain, doesn't always reply instantly, and doesn't bend herself backwards to win him over. It's not because she's mean, it's because she's centered. Her energy says, I like you, but I don't need you. I'm whole on my own. And that energy is magnetic. When a woman loses herself in being nice, she often sacrifices her voice, her preferences, and sometimes even her self-worth. And in doing so, she unintentionally teaches him that her needs are optional, her time is flexible, and her heart is easily earned. The truth is, if you feel like you always have to prove your value, you're likely giving it to someone who never truly saw it to begin with. So instead of trying to be the nice woman, be the real woman. The one who loves deeply but won't abandon herself for the illusion of connection. That's the woman who gets respected. That's the woman who's remembered. There's a common belief in relationships that if you're always available, always responsive, always there whenever he needs you, it will make him love and appreciate you more. But in reality, it often does the exact opposite. Being too available sends a subtle message that your time, energy, and presence don't need to be earned. It removes the space where mystery grows, where anticipation builds, and where desire has room to breathe. When you're constantly present, emotionally or physically, you unintentionally remove the tension that makes attraction exciting. Now, this doesn't mean you should play games or withhold affection to manipulate someone's attention. This is deeper than that. It's about the message your availability sends, about how you see yourself. Because when someone is always accessible, emotionally on call, never busy, always adjusting their schedule, it often comes across as though their world revolves around the other person. And nothing kills romantic tension faster than predictability, combined with emotional overexposure. People value what they have to earn. And when something or someone is always right there, the brain starts to treat it as ordinary, expected routine. The mystery fades, the energy shifts from curiosity to comfort. And while comfort is important, it's not what fuels deep attraction. When you're too available, you may also unintentionally signal that your boundaries are weak, or that your sense of self is tied to the relationship. And this can lead to a dynamic where you become the emotional caretaker, constantly giving, while your own needs slowly disappear into the background. Have you ever noticed how the more you chase someone, the less interested they seem to be? That's not because people enjoy rejection. It's because we're wired to pursue what we perceive as valuable, and perceived value drops when availability is unlimited and unbalanced. This is why high-value individuals, whether consciously or not, don't over-explain where they are. They don't feel the need to prove their loyalty through constant access, and they don't fear taking space. That space isn't distance, it's presence in their own life. It's showing that they're not waiting around to be chosen. Being less available isn't about being cold, it's about being rooted. It's about having a full life, a strong sense of purpose, and emotional self-respect. It's about showing up from overflow, not emptiness. You're not shrinking or dimming your light to stay close to someone who hasn't even earned your proximity. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth by how accessible you are, is the moment people start to notice how powerful your energy really is. When you're not always available, your presence becomes a gift, not an expectation. There's a huge difference between emotional independence and emotional games, but many people confuse the two. One comes from strength, the other from insecurity. And knowing the difference changes everything about how you attract, connect, and maintain power in relationships. Emotional independence is rooted in self-awareness. It means you know who you are outside of any relationship. Your mood doesn't rise and fall based on whether someone texts you back. You're not performing, reacting, or twisting yourself to be liked. You're grounded, whole. You desire connection, but you don't need it to feel complete. That energy is powerful, it's rare, and men feel it the moment they're around it. Now compare that to emotional games. Games are performative. They're calculated moves designed to control how the other person feels or reacts. Delayed replies, fake disinterest, silent treatments, not because you're busy or centered, but because you're trying to provoke a reaction. And the truth is, people feel the difference. Games may get attention temporarily, but they don't build trust. In fact, they often create anxiety, inconsistency, and emotional exhaustion for both sides. And long term, they sabotage connection more than they create it. Emotional independence, on the other hand, doesn't require strategy. It's calm, it's consistent. It says, I like you, but I won't abandon myself for you. It sets boundaries without anger, walks away without drama, and communicates honestly, because it's not afraid of the outcome. You don't ignore someone for 3 hours to seem cool. You respond when you're ready, because your life is already full. You don't flirt with someone else to spark jealousy. You just don't make your worth dependent on one person's attention. That distinction is what makes emotionally independent women so unforgettable. Men may chase the games for a while, but they respect the woman who's emotionally sovereign, the one who brings peace, not confusion, presence, not performance. Think about how you feel around someone who's emotionally centered. There's no pressure, no guessing, no manipulation, just clarity, strength, and a sense of safety that allows attraction to deepen without fear or tension. But here's the irony. Some people fear emotional independence because they think it means being cold or detached. It doesn't. It actually creates the space for genuine intimacy to grow. Because when you don't need someone to fill your emotional gaps, you can finally show up as your full, authentic self, not just a curated version built to be liked. The strongest relationships aren't built on dependency. They're built on choice. And when you're emotionally independent, your love becomes a conscious choice, not a desperate need. That's what makes you irresistible. Not because you're hard to get, but because you're hard to shape. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood and underrated elements of attraction. Boundaries. Not walls. Not ultimatums. Not passive-aggressive silence. But real, clear, healthy boundaries that communicate one thing: I respect myself. You might think being easygoing, flexible, or always saying yes will make you more lovable. But the opposite is often true. Because when you don't have boundaries, people don't know where you end and they begin. And without that clarity, respect fades and attraction follows. You see, boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about letting the right people come closer without losing yourself in the process. When you say no with grace, when you don't tolerate poor treatment, when you walk away from mixed signals instead of chasing clarity, you create a different kind of energy. You stop teaching people that access to you is automatic. You start teaching them that your presence is earned, and that's where real attraction lives. Because contrary to what you've been told, people aren't drawn to those who tolerate everything, they're drawn to those who stand for something. Boundaries don't make you unapproachable, they make you trustworthy, predictable, rooted. And in a world full of emotional chaos, that kind of grounded energy is rare and magnetic. Think about it. When someone can't respect your time, when they test your limits, when they push your buttons just to see how far they can go, and you let them, it doesn't make them value you more. It makes them value you less. Why? Because you've shown them that your standards are flexible when your feelings are involved. But when you calmly say, that doesn't work for me, or I don't accept that, or if this continues, I'll walk away without drama, without over-explaining, you flip a switch. Suddenly, you're not just someone they can have, you're someone they have to rise to meet. That shift in dynamic is everything. Boundaries raise your value, not because they make you hard to get, but because they show you're hard to manipulate. You can be soft and strong, open and discerning, loving but not available to just anyone. It's not about being mean, it's about being clear. Because clarity is kindness, and when you're clear on your boundaries, you attract people who want to honor them, not test them. The truth is, attraction without respect doesn't last. And nothing builds lasting respect like a woman who knows what she will and will not allow. So if you want to create real attraction, the kind that lasts beyond the honeymoon phase, it starts with boundaries, not barriers, just deep self-respect. Because when you respect yourself, the world learns how to follow your lead. There's something deeply powerful about a woman who embodies feminine energy without giving all of herself away. It's not about playing hard to get. It's not about being aloof or unavailable. It's about moving through the world with a certain depth, an energy that invites curiosity, not control. Mystery isn't about being secretive or emotionally distant. It's about being fully expressed, but never fully exposed too soon. It's the understanding that you don't need to explain every thought, reveal every emotion, or share your entire life story on the second date to be seen, valued, or loved. Because what truly captivates a man isn't how much you reveal. It's how deeply you make him want to learn more. Feminine energy is magnetic because it doesn't chase, it attracts. It's open but not desperate. Warm but not chaotic. It listens, observes, feels, and flows without needing to dominate or perform. A woman in her feminine doesn't try to prove her worth. She knows she is the worth. She doesn't beg to be chosen. She chooses herself first, and from that energy she invites the right man in, without ever compromising her soul to fit what he wants. Men are drawn to depth, to mystery, to the kind of presence that says, you may be close to me, but you'll never fully possess me. Not unless you've earned that access. And that's what makes her unforgettable. She's not confusing, she's layered. She's not emotionally unavailable, she's emotionally intelligent. She doesn't open up because she feels pressure to connect. She opens when she feels safe to be seen. That mystery is sacred. It's not a tactic, it's a boundary. A way of saying, if you want to know me, you have to slow down. Be present, show up with depth. Because I'm not surface level, and I won't pretend to be for your comfort. Too often, women are told to be an open book, or don't be too complicated. But the truth is, what keeps a man coming back is the feeling that there's more to explore, more layers to discover, more heart, more mind, more soul waiting to unfold. Not to everyone, but to the one who shows up with consistency and care. That's the gift of the feminine. She doesn't just offer attention, she offers experience, not instant access, but sacred invitation. And in a world where everything is fast, loud, and easily consumed, a woman who moves with mystery and grace becomes a sanctuary. A place where a man doesn't just get love, he feels transformed by it. So don't fear your depth, don't apologize for your mystery. That's not what pushes people away. That's what makes the right ones stay. There's a massive misconception floating around that the only way to keep someone's attention is to play hard to get, act unavailable, or stir jealousy. But here's the truth. Being irresistible has nothing to do with playing games, and everything to do with how you carry your energy. You don't have to pretend you're busy. You don't have to hide your feelings. You don't need to use silence as punishment or affection as a reward. Because the kind of attraction that lasts, that makes a person respect you, crave your presence, and feel pulled toward you, is built on something much more powerful than performance. It's built on clarity, self-respect, and emotional groundedness. The most magnetic people are those who are fully themselves. They don't chase validation, and they're not afraid to walk away from what doesn't feel aligned. There's no guessing game in their energy, but there is mystery, not because they're hiding, but because they're whole. You feel like there's something deeper behind their eyes, something worth discovering and earning. To be irresistible, you must first stop trying to be liked by everyone. Not everyone is your match, and you don't want them to be. What's attractive is someone who's selective. Not out of arrogance, but out of self-worth. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing to be chosen is when people start chasing your energy. Why? Because you've already chosen yourself. Being irresistible doesn't mean always looking perfect or saying the right thing. It means showing up real. You're warm without overgiving. You're interested without being overly available. You're expressive without oversharing. You're kind without tolerating disrespect. That's not a game. That's embodied confidence. It's knowing you bring value just by being who you are. And that love is not something to hustle for. It's something to align with. And that means being honest about what you want. Being clear on what you won't settle for. And not twisting yourself to fit into someone's temporary needs, just to avoid being alone. The moment you realize that your presence is a privilege, not a convenience, you change how people see you, and more importantly, you change how you see yourself. You become a safe space and a challenge, a calm energy and a deep presence. Someone who listens, but doesn't lose herself in someone else's noise. That's the energy people remember. That's what they crave, not the chase, not the chaos, but the clarity of knowing, this person is different. I can't just coast, I have to show up. And when someone has to rise to meet you, that's when real connection begins. No games, no manipulation, just attraction rooted in truth. As we wrap up, it's important to remember this. Stepping into your power isn't about controlling someone else's feelings or manipulating their behavior. It's about reclaiming your own energy, your own sense of worth, and living from a place of confidence and self-respect. Too often, we get caught up trying to be what others want us to be, bending, shaping, or shrinking ourselves just to be accepted. But the truth is, the moment you stop chasing approval and start owning who you are, that's when everything changes. Power comes from knowing that you don't need someone else to complete you. You are already whole, already enough, already deserving of love and respect simply because you exist. And when you live from that place, something incredible happens. You attract people who see your value, who want to meet you in your full truth, who won't settle for anything less than your authentic self. This doesn't mean relationships will be easy or that you won't face challenges, but it means you'll face them with clarity, with boundaries, and with a calm strength that can't be shaken by games, doubts, or uncertainty. When you step into your power, you choose yourself every single day. You choose to honor your feelings, your dreams, and your boundaries. You choose to walk away from what no longer serves you. And you choose to create space for what truly deserves your time and energy. This kind of power is magnetic because it's genuine. It's not loud or aggressive. It's steady, grounded, and deeply attractive. People are drawn to it because it reflects a woman who knows her worth and refuses to settle for less. So today, take a moment to ask yourself, are you living from your own power, or are you still trying to win someone else's approval? Are you showing up as your full self, or are you hiding pieces just to fit in? The path to irresistible attraction isn't about control or games, it's about clarity and courage. It's about loving yourself fiercely enough to demand respect and honor, while still being open to connection and vulnerability. Remember, the women men fall hardest for aren't the ones who chase or try to control. They're the ones who stand tall, own their story, and let their light shine unapologetically. So step into your power today. Stand firm in your worth. Embrace your mystery and your depth. And watch how your world begins to shift. Because when you show up as your authentic, powerful self, you don't just attract love, you create it. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video insightful and empowering, you're going to want to stick around for more. I've got plenty of content designed to help you understand relationships, boost your confidence, and step into your true power. Up next, I recommend checking out my video on how to build unshakable confidence in love. It dives deep into practical steps to help you feel more secure, magnetic, and ready to attract the right partner. Another great video is The Secret to Maintaining Attraction Long Term, where I break down what really keeps relationships exciting and fulfilling beyond the honeymoon phase. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss new videos. I post regularly with fresh insights, real talk, and strategies to help you grow emotionally and create the love life you deserve. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like and share it with your friends who might benefit from it too. Your support means the world and helps our community grow stronger. Finally, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below what part of this video hit home for you. Or what questions do you have about attraction and relationships? I read every comment and can't wait to engage with you. Remember, your journey to becoming the most irresistible, empowered version of yourself is just getting started. Keep showing up, keep learning, and keep shining. Thanks again for being here. See you in the next video.